Alright, so doing maintenance on the older style ICP furnace. This furnace is actually doesn't have that much in the way of maintenance. We're going to check the burners, clean off the flame sensor, clear out the pilot tube, check the capacitor, and then also check the heat exchanger, those little round pieces on the heat exchanger. So we'll start with the burners first. Go ahead and remove all of these screws here. So we'll remove the cover. As you can see, the burners are not in great shape here. So we'll go ahead and use a 7/16 right here to unscrew the pilot tube. We'll unplug this 4-way Molex connector here and 2 1/4-inch screws to pull off the igniter and flame rod assembly. Okay, so we have unscrewed that part. We took out the 2 1/4 inches, and we'll just pull this gas tube out and have a look at the igniter. Be very careful, because that igniter, if you sneeze on it, it'll break. Then take our 1/4 inch here, pull this screw off. This piece comes right off. Then a small little screwdriver pulls this off, and the igniter comes right out. Be very careful. Set this off to the side. I like to use a toothbrush to clean this thing off. This one is pretty dirty. It's extremely delicate. I guess we'll have to switch to the brass brush. Very gently. There you have it, nice and clean. Next we'll check the burners. Okay, so to get the burners out, we got 1, 2, 3 screws, and then you gotta disconnect the union and pull the manifold off. Okay, so now that we pulled the manifold off, check your orifices to make sure that they are not clogged, and then 2 1/4-inch screws, 1 and 2 1/4-inch screws, and the burners come right out, and those are not looking fantastic. So go ahead and clean these off as best we can with our bristle brush. This one does not have to be brass. And give it a good scrubbing. It's really coming apart, deteriorating decent. You see how that's clogged right there? So if it's clogged like that, take your little flathead screwdriver, scrape it out, see if we can't open it up a little bit. Delicately, of course, because it's crumbling. I'm going to recommend to the customer that it's time to get some new burners, if they're even available anymore. I imagine that they are. This furnace is not obsolete yet. There's still parts. This one could use a little bit more scrubbing. So go ahead and get all that cleaned up and then vacuum out your burner box right there. And next we'll move on to the heat exchanger. Okay, so now that we have clear crossover channels and cleaned off the burners as well as we can, cleaned out the burner cabinet, now we want to pull out the limit switch, which is 2 1/4-inch screws. So we'll pull the limit switch out and set her off to the side for a moment. We're going to want to check inside these little round discs. Oh, we can see right there where it is starting to have a little bit of water deposit coming out of the ring. That means that the heat exchanger is basically bad. If water's leaking through, then air is absolutely leaking through, and that thing is on the verge of popping out, I would say. Yep. Plus the ones on the bottom down there, if they're popped out, if they're at all popped out, that means that the heat exchanger is bad. You can see that little water deposit there. That is dunzo. So at this point, before we go any further, go have a conversation with the customer about what to do now. Alright, so broke the news to the customer that it is time for a new furnace. Took it really well. Turns out they've been saving money for just such an occasion. And they are ready. But either way, that concludes the older model ICP maintenance. Now we'll just spend the time putting everything back together and move on to the next one.